In our headlines on this Friday, June 5th, here in South Korea, findings for the first 4 months of this year show the country's current account surplus standing at over $100 billion and surpassing the annual surplus of 2024. Meanwhile, the South Korean currency and its stock market lose tremendous ground on this Friday as foreign investors engage in heavy profit-taking. We explain the connection. Also, Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang is here in Seoul for a second visit in some 7 months to meet with tech leaders here and to engage with the broader public as he mounts a full-scale charm offensive. South Korea's current account remained in the black in April with a surplus of over $28 billion. Now, this amount in turn has raised the total surplus for the first 4 months of this year to over $100 billion. Our Jin starts us off with these latest findings.
Driven by the continuous boom in semiconductor exports, Korea's current account surplus surpassed the $100 billion mark in just the first 4 months of the year. And according to data released by the Bank of Korea on Friday, the country posted a surplus of $28.29 billion in April, marking the second largest monthly surplus on record. This brings the cumulative surplus from January to April to $102.67 billion, which is more than 4 times what was recorded during the same period last year. The milestone was driven heavily by the goods account, which posted a $33.88 billion surplus. A BOK official stated that in just 4 months, the surplus from the whole of 2024 has already been surpassed and is close to last year's total, which was the highest on record. He added that looking at figures for the first quarter, South Korea ranked second, trailing only China, up from 5th. Taiwan has maintained a larger surplus than South Korea since 2019 and was ahead of South Korea by $57 billion last year. But South Korea is ahead by roughly $12 billion. The services balance posted a deficit of $2.42 billion. Within the services balance, travel recorded a deficit of $30 million. After turning to a surplus in March for the first time in 11 years and 4 months, it shifted back into a deficit. However, a hike in the number of arrivals, exceeding 2 million in both March and April, has reduced the deficit to be smaller than that of March of last year. April marks the country's 36th consecutive month in the black. Jensen, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, the South Korean currency and its stock market lost tremendous ground on this Friday as foreign investors engaged in heavy profit-taking. Our economics correspondent Kim Do-yeon covers this reality and their connection as seen by a scholar here.
The Korean won closed at 1,539.11 won against the greenback on Friday, up 9.41 from the previous day's close. The local currency has sharply weakened right after the opening bell, surging to an intraday high of 1,549.11, surpassing levels not seen since the global financial crisis in March 2009. The stock market also took a severe hit, with the benchmark Kospi plunging 5.54% or 478.82 points to finish at 8,160.59. The index dropped 3.66% at the start and plummeted as much as 6.96% to an intraday low of 8,038.10 during morning trading, triggering a sidecar halt to temporarily suspend program trading sell orders. The downward pressure was concentrated on large-cap tech and semiconductor stocks. Market bellwether Samsung Electronics dropped 6.40% to close at 329,000 won. SK Hynix plunged nearly 10% to finish at 2,070,000 won, while LG Electronics tumbled 7.62%. The primary driver of the market turbulence is the massive outflow of foreign capital. Foreign investors dumped more than 2 trillion won on the main bourse in the morning session alone. This marks the 20th consecutive session of net selling, bringing their total net sell-off for the year to over 117 trillion won.
Foreign investors are continuously selling Korean stocks. When they do, they sell the Korean won to buy US dollars and take their capital out of the country. This is exactly why the exchange rate is surging. The combination of the foreign sell-off and Korea's relatively insufficient foreign exchange reserves is what drove the exchange rate.
Market watchers attribute the broader capital flight to the tech sector correction on Wall Street, sparked by Broadcom's earnings miss alongside prolonged geopolitical uncertainties in the Middle East.
We need to monitor whether this is driven by factors other than portfolio rebalancing. We must wait and see if the foreign sell-off intensifies even after issues like the Middle East geopolitical risks are resolved.
As capital flight and external uncertainties persist, market attention now shifts to whether the Bank of Korea and the Finance Ministry will intervene to stabilize the currency. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang is here in Seoul for a second visit in some 7 months to meet with tech leaders here and to engage with the broader public as he mounts a charm offensive. Our Cho Young-eun covers his agenda.
Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang arrived in Korea on Friday through Seoul's Gimpo International Airport at around 1:20 p.m., hinting that he has a surprise gift prepared for Korea. Beginning a 4-day visit packed with meetings on deepening ties across AI, robotics, and computing, Huang spoke to reporters upon his arrival.
Artificial intelligence build-out is accelerating. We had a very big year last year, and the Korea market is doing very well. I'm very happy about that. The second half is going to be much larger than the first half, and next year it's going to be very large.
Huang's first stop was a PC room in Seoul's Hongdae area, operated by esports team T1, where he met with the team's League of Legends roster and handed over an Nvidia RTX 5090 graphics card to Captain Lee Sang-hyuk. Later in the evening, Huang is scheduled to attend a dinner with some of Korea's most influential business figures, including SK Group Chairman Choi Tae-won, LG Group Chairman Gu Kwang-mo, and Naver Chairman Lee Hae-jin. Hyundai Motor Group Executive Chair Chung Hee-sun is reportedly unable to attend due to scheduling conflicts. The gathering is widely expected to take place at a popular grilled pork belly restaurant in the Hongdae area, in what local media are calling a samso meeting, a combination of samgyeopsal and soju. Industry observers expect discussions to cover a wide range of cooperation areas, including high bandwidth memory, AI data centers, autonomous driving, robotics, and physical AI, with many viewing Huang's visit as an opportunity for Nvidia to further expand its footprint within Korea's AI ecosystem. Huang is also expected to meet with Kim Taek-jin, founder and chief executive of gaming company NC Corporation, on Sunday, where discussions are likely to focus on gaming technologies and AI collaboration. On Monday, Huang is also expected to hold a series of meetings with Korean AI startup founders and robotic startup leaders, highlighting Nvidia's growing interest in the sector. He is also reportedly planning visits to research facilities at Seoul National University, including its AI Institute and Robotics Research Center, followed by a visit to LG Twin Towers and Naver headquarters on the same day. Cho Young-eun, Arirang News.
On the international front now, Iran now says it's not looking to impose transit fees on ships traveling through the Strait of Hormuz. Instead, it's reportedly planning to collect service fees. Our Cha Young-kyung tells us what this means.
Iran on Thursday local time said it was considering collecting fees from ships transiting the Strait of Hormuz, maintaining it has sovereignty over the waterway. Iranian Deputy Foreign Minister Qasem Gharibabadi said Iran was not seeking to collect passage fees, but rather compensation for services jointly provided by Iran and Oman to vessels navigating the shipping route. Gharibabadi acknowledged that some countries may not be pleased with the move. However, he stressed that the plan was compatible with international law. Iran previously set up the Persian Gulf Strait Authority, a body that ships must seek permission from to go through the Strait of Hormuz. However, the U.S. Treasury said that U.S. citizens are prohibited from receiving any services from Iran related to passage through the waterway, regardless of whether a payment was made. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent warned last Thursday that the U.S. would aggressively impose sanctions against Oman if it supported Iran in facilitating the collection of tolls. Against the threat of the Trump administration, Oman is shedding light on its links with Iran, insisting it has only been negotiating with Tehran on a future management system for the waterway. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump showed his confidence, saying there could be progress in negotiations with Iran to end the war soon. Against this backdrop, Hezbollah leader Naim Qassem rejected the Washington Declaration, insisting resistance will continue, weakening Trump's efforts to forge peace with Tehran. Cha Yoon-kyung, Arirang News.
Earlier this week, South Korea played host to top diplomats from Africa in line with plans to promote broader strategic partnership. Now, on the margins of that foreign ministerial meeting, my colleague Oh Seong sat down with the head of the Egyptian delegation for his thoughts on the prospects of such partnership. To take a listen.
As global conflicts put pressure on trade routes and multilateral cooperation, Korea is emerging as an increasingly important partner for countries like Egypt across the Middle East and Africa. In an interview with Arirang in Seoul, Egyptian Foreign Minister Badr Abdelati said the two countries should work together strategically, from economic development to regional security.
Us as middle-sized countries like Republic of Korea, Egypt, Brazil, India, South Africa and others, we have to work together. We have to support each other in order to promote multilateralism and to push for de-escalation, promotion of dialogue, adherence to international law.
He said the two countries are looking to build on growing political ties while expanding cooperation into sectors where Korea has developed global expertise.
Also, how we can benefit from the progress achieved by the Republic of Korea in areas such as application of artificial intelligence, higher education, technical education and vocational training in order to have more skillful labor in Egypt.
The minister said that broader partnership also extends to Africa, pointing to Egypt's strategic location and extensive trade links also to Europe and the Middle East. He added that greater co-production in sectors such as manufacturing and defence would allow both countries to expand their economic footprint across the continent, while creating new opportunities for trade and investment. On that note, he welcomed this week's Korea-Africa Foreign Ministers meeting.
The Republic of Korea has an excellent presence in Africa in terms of trade and investment, but we have to do more and more in order to strengthen the existing partnership. We can work together on Africa because, Africa is the future. This is the youngest continent in the world. This is the only continent which is going to double its population by 2060. So this is the future for the growth of the Korean economy, and Egypt as the gateway to Africa.
He added that the two sides are now working to arrange continued top-level diplomacy.
And President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is planning to come and to pay an official visit to Republic of Korea this year, very soon, hopefully in the upcoming few months, in order to build on the momentum created by the President of the Republic of Korea's visit to Egypt last November.
The minister said the visit would help advance efforts to deepen cooperation between Seoul and Cairo, as both countries seek a larger role in addressing shared global challenges. Oh Seong, Arirang News.
In other news, South Korea has been elected to the UN Economic and Social Council for a 3-year term beginning in 2027. According to the Foreign Ministry on this Friday, the election took place during the 80th session of the UN General Assembly in New York on June 4th. The ministry says the result reflects international trust in Korea's contributions to addressing global economic, social, and development challenges. South Korea will serve its 11th term on the 54-member council, which coordinates discussions on issues including sustainable development, humanitarian assistance, public health, and climate change. Seoul remains in close communication with Beijing through diplomatic channels, hoping for progress towards peace on the Korean Peninsula, as Chinese President Xi Jinping prepares to visit Pyongyang on June 8th to the 9th. The Blue House here on this Friday shared hopes for China to continue to play a constructive role on issues related to the Korean Peninsula. Meanwhile, the Unification Ministry also made note of the Chinese leader's upcoming visit, which marks his first to North Korea in 7 years. The ministry added that the Lee Jae-myung administration's North Korea policy of peaceful coexistence supports communication over confrontation on the Korean Peninsula. The results of the recent local and parliamentary by-elections appear to have triggered mixed emotions within both the ruling and opposition parties. Our political correspondent An Sung-jin explains.
Korea's local elections concluded with the ruling Democratic Party winning 12 of 16 metropolitan mayoral and gubernatorial races. The main opposition People Power Party secured its conservative strongholds in Gyeongsangbuk-do and Gyeongsangnam-do provinces, Daegu, and most importantly, after a neck-and-neck race, it kept hold of the capital Seoul. The DP held on to the metropolitan areas of Gyeonggi-do province and Incheon, while also capturing Busan. The results hint at the DP further consolidating its grip on power by strengthening the Lee Jae-myung administration, as it allows the ruling party to control across the executive branch, National Assembly, and much of local government. But the victory comes with a setback. As the PPP holds on to one of the key political battlegrounds, Seoul, the ruling party remains cautious. Analysts say the latest local elections show that the voters intended to strike a balance through checks and balances by keeping the opposition party's strongholds intact. Looking at several parliamentary by-elections as well, the victory of independent Han Dong-un in Busan 북 A and the PPP's Yu Lee-dong in Pyeongtaek B suggest nuanced public support despite President Lee's strong approval ratings. Han's win in Busan 북 A particularly stands out. As the former PPP chairman who had been ousted by the main opposition, his victory may reshape the conservative bloc and provide a greater leverage in challenging the administration. Foreign media outlets link the ruling party's success to President Lee's continued popularity on the back of economic optimism and recent strong stock markets. Reuters said the results showcased the administration's nationwide support, while the New York Times described the election as a referendum on his presidency. Attention now turns to political aftermath. The DP prepares for a leadership contest likely to take place later this year, while the PPP faces growing pressure over its election losses and political friction within the party. An Sung-jin, Arirang News.
And the National Assembly has elected its new leadership with Friday marking the start of the second half of the parliament's term. The ruling Democratic Party's sixth-term lawmaker Cho Jang-sik has been elected as Speaker and is pledged to build a parliament that delivers tangible results. Cho will leave the party and serve as an independent while holding this position. For the deputy speaker positions, the ruling party's Nam In-sun and the main opposition People Power Party's Park Deok-hum have been elected. K-beauty retailer Olive Young opened its first American store last Friday over in California, and the event saw customers camping out overnight just outside the store. Our Chung Hye-rim files this report.
Long lines formed outside Olive Young Pasadena on May 29th. Hundreds of eager shoppers queued around 4 city blocks just to step inside the retailer's first official U.S. store. Inside the crowded store, customers were introduced to a distinctly Korean beauty experience. The store features free AI-powered analysis of individual skin conditions, along with programs where visitors can receive one-on-one consultations and skincare lessons.
It was actually really insane, I feel. But there were already people lining up, like camping outside of Olive Young to stay overnight. That was really fun. But I feel like for me specifically, I ran towards the sunscreen station.
The thing I feel like is the biggest difference is that experience, the skin analysis, the scalp analysis, full sinks, right? Where you can really test out the products. You're going to find something that's actually going to work for like your skin or your hair.
This enthusiasm in the United States is a direct reflection of an ongoing trend among young people that can be felt daily on the streets of Seoul.
For foreign tourists, these Olive Young shopping bags filled with Korean beauty products are the ultimate souvenir. And looking at the number of visitors coming in and out of one of the retailer's largest stores in Seoul, it's easy to say going global hasn't been a coincidence. K-beauty has captured Western consumers by offering gentle, natural alternatives like salmon-derived PDRN and barrier-repairing formulas at highly affordable prices. South Korea's cosmetic trade surplus topped an unprecedented $10 billion this year. The government is now raising its 2030 market target to 400 trillion won, or roughly $260 billion.
K-beauty may have initially grown on the popularity of K-pop and K-dramas, but its global success today is driven by technological innovation and product quality. With Korean beauty brands continuing to perform strongly overseas, exports could soon surpass $15 billion.
Olive Young plans to launch its second branch in Los Angeles later this month, and all eyes are on how far this K-beauty frenzy can go. 정혜림, Arirang News.
Here in South Korea, amusement parks have also been bearing the brunt of the country's low birth rate, and accordingly, more operators are now seeking to appeal to a different audience, young adults. Our culture correspondent Park Konu tells us how.
Seeing young kids and students at theme parks is nothing unusual. But in Korea, shrinking demographics are creating new challenges, a decreasing number of visitors. Yet one major park, Lotte World, has bucked the trend, with visitor numbers rising on year by about 2% in 2024, according to Themed Entertainment Association's latest report. One strategy has been tapping into nostalgia through popular franchises, most recently MapleStory, a beloved online game that many young Korean adults grew up playing.
It's been a while since I last visited an amusement park. But collaborations like this definitely make people my age visit again, especially when they feature brands we're familiar with.
This place feels as if you've stepped right into the world of MapleStory itself. Its immersive attractions, photo zones, snacks, and even this little hat on me are all drawing in even adults, eager to relive the childhood magic.
Through collaborations with a wide range of external characters and stories, we're creating seasonal content and new attractions to strengthen competitiveness and attract more visitors with diverse age groups and nationalities.
Themed merchandise and food are also helping draw in more visitors. Everland, Korea's other top-tier theme park, has also been using characters to draw strong interest through beloved animal stars like Fubao, the first Korean-born giant panda, and collaborations with domestic football clubs. But experts say the bigger opportunity may lie beyond Korea's borders.
I mean, everything from Squid Games to BTS to the Demon Hunters. Like, it's an amazing IP, like Korea's IP, one of Korea's IP. You know, how you take those stories and scale them outside of Korea. I said, how can you leverage that? Not only just in country, but on a more global scale, I think is a great opportunity right now.
Oviedo also says globally recognized characters and stories could help attract more international visitors, a strategy now being embraced by companies like Shinsegae through partnerships with major entertainment brands like Paramount. As Korea's theme parks search for new growth engines, from stories both local and international, their biggest attraction may no longer be the rides themselves, but the stories and fan bases that bring visitors through the gates. Park Konu, Arirang News.
Today started mostly cloudy nationwide, but skies cleared by late morning. A few clouds will also pass through from time to time this weekend, and temperatures will stay close to normal, bringing typical early summer warmth. Tomorrow, UV levels will be very high in most regions. With summer sunshine becoming stronger, UV protection is becoming increasingly important. Rather than applying a high SPF sunscreen just once, it's actually more effective to reapply regularly, especially after sweating or spending time in the water. Ozone levels are also expected to be bad in many areas, including parts of the central regions and southern regions. So be sure to take extra precautions if you're spending time outdoors. As for temperatures, Seoul will start the day at 16 degrees, Chuncheon at 12 degrees, Daejeon at 14 degrees. Then by the afternoon, Seoul will get up to 28 degrees, Daegu at 29 degrees, Busan at 26 degrees. Looking ahead, early summer weather will continue through the middle of next week. Now here's a look at the weather around the world.
Those are the headlines at this hour here in South Korea. Coming up next is our daily panel session, so do stay with us.